hey folks, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living, and I wanted to give you an update on our epoxy concrete countertops that we have in the kitchen. So it's been about 2 years since we've had them installed, and it's funny to think that we did that project pretty much during the winter time in 2019, in January 2019. We must have had a little bit of a warm spell. So we did the concrete pour inside, but then we did the acid staining outside, and I remember that being really, really cold. But we had a little bit of a window. We were able to get that job done. We ended up finishing the countertops with epoxy as the surface finish, and we also used epoxy on our bathroom vanity as well. So I wanted to kind of compare and contrast how both of those countertops have been doing. Now the vanity's a little bit more newer. That's only about 1.5 years old, but I actually have some reservations about the epoxy finish. So let me share some of those with you. Also at the end of this video, I'm going to be tacking on a really quick 10-minute meal, and I really mean like super fast to put together and very delicious, especially if you like Asian flavors like coconut and ginger and shrimp. So I've got a coconut ginger shrimp stir fry at the end of this video because I do a lot of work in the kitchen, and I'm trying to share also some of my healthy cooking ideas with you guys. So definitely don't miss the last part of the video for that. But let's take a closer look at the countertop, and I can show you what I'm talking about. In general, the countertop is like a mirror finish. It really is super duper duper shiny, liquid finish, and it's not rock hard, right? Epoxy is pretty much plastic. But if you can get this tangential lighting, you can see some of where the countertop isn't, where the epoxy isn't even right here, but getting down on the level, you can see all these tiny little scratches in the surface. And that is because the kitchen counter is a highly trafficked work surface. I mean, it is not that people are cutting food on the countertop, but you're putting your plate down, you're dragging appliances, you're moving cutting boards, and there might be the occasional, knife slipping to hit the countertop. But they're fine scratches, but it's loaded. The countertop really collects these micro scratches. Okay, so you can see a few right there. There's a big one right there. And on this one over here, if I move this cutting board out of the way, it doesn't take much if you have something on the surface and a piece of dirt or anything underneath the cutting board. Look at that big scratch right there. So something was underneath the cutting board when it got moved or pushed, and it makes a big scratch in your surface. So that's the kind of thing I've been noticing with the epoxy finish on my countertops. Now, in general, am I happy with the countertops? Absolutely. Like, I actually am. I'm glad that we went with a concrete countertop. I'm glad we did the acid stain finish. Just looking at them from a glance, they look awesome. And it's only when you get that tangential reflective lighting, like sometimes it's in the morning time where I notice it more and I can see those fine scratches. If the light from the window comes in just right, you can really see a lot of those scratches, but otherwise they're not really that noticeable, and you don't really notice them at night in the dim lighting. So it's just sort of something that you see maybe more in the morning time. But imagine 10 years of collected abrasions on the countertop. That might start to make the countertop look more dull. So I'm trying to think of ways to fix that. Now I've come up, so a couple ideas is make up another batch of epoxy and put a light glaze on there, let it dry. Or maybe there's some other kind of material, like maybe it's not epoxy itself, but something like maybe like clear nail polish or something, some other kind of solvent that could help fill in those gaps, like stuff that you would use for like scratches on a car or something. Or if you use a solvent, could you kind of dissolve it out? Now, I don't want to really try that idea because I don't want to ruin the finish that's already on there. I don't want to get it all tacky and stuff. But I'm trying to think of some kind of maintenance to using the epoxy finish so it doesn't, the scratching doesn't get worse. Because, aside from the micro scratching, the countertops have held up well. I've not really had any problem with them. I've had one instance of chipping when I had something fall from the top of the cabinet and it landed on the edge of the countertop and it just made the tiniest ding. So the tiniest ding right there. So it took away just a tiny amount of concrete on the edge there, but I think I could even seal it again. You wouldn't even be able to tell that was an issue. Because it's the kitchen, I don't see that the scratching will decrease. It's just a product of use, and it's a high traffic area. So let's look at the bathroom countertop. So similarly, the vanity has another mirror-like finish with the epoxy, and because it doesn't have the heavy-duty use that the kitchen shares, we don't really have any kind of micro scratching on it at all. We're not putting heavy appliances, we're not moving cutting boards, we're not using the surface other than, so you're not really using the countertop the same, so it really avoids the scratching at all. So if I can get really close here, you can see it's still pretty much a mirror finish and maybe just some soap scum. I haven't even seen any micro scratches, so it's really not an issue for the bathroom vanity. So in effect, we have two different countertops with epoxy, two different experiences and two different results. So epoxy on wood in the bathroom, thumbs up, no micro scratching, but epoxy on concrete in the kitchen, high use environment, lots of micro scratches. So that's what I'd love to hear from you guys, of suggestions of how to get rid of those micro scratches. Maybe it's just a lot of buffing, but anyway, if there's any simple solutions that you want to share, just feel free to drop a line in the comments. But stay tuned for the shrimp stir-fry lesson. I think you'll really enjoy that. And if you have the ingredients, you can make it tonight. Right, folks, so tonight we're going to make a really quick, like a 10-minute dinner that's so delicious, something you would get in a restaurant, at an Asian restaurant. So we're going to do a stir-fry shrimp with coconut milk and ginger and green beans, peppers, and carrots, as well as cauliflower rice. So it's going to be like a really nice blend of a lot of different exciting flavors, and watch this, it's just going to be ready in like 10 minutes. So first of all, I'm going to get things started. I'm going to use using the cast iron pan to kind of have everything together, and once that gets heated up, I'm going to take you over to the spice corner over here. So this is the flavor corner. This is what we're using to get our Asian flavors in. We've got toasted sesame oil. That kind of gives it that nutty flavor that you really recognize with this style of cooking. And then the three amigos, you've got salty, which is coco aminos, what I'm using. We've got sour, which is like your tanginess, so lime juice, really key on this one. And hot, a little bit of heat, not too much. Brian's not a big fan of hot, so we're going to use just a little bit of sriracha. This one's a little bit sweet. Using sriracha, I prefer over chili flakes because of adds a little bit of sweetness. And we'll start off with some chicken broth to kind of saute our veggies. So first thing I'm going to do is put in the sesame oil. You see the pan is heating up. Putting about a tablespoon of sesame oil in. Usually you use sesame oil as a finishing oil, but sometimes I just want a little bit in the pot to kind of toast up the veggies first. This is 1 chopped red pepper. This is about 6 baby carrots and about a cup of cauliflower rice. The other ingredient that really makes this Asian meal stand out is coconut milk. So this is going to make the sauce a little bit creamier, but it's going to give that coconut flavor that really goes well with shrimp. So using coconut milk here, we won't use the whole can, I'll probably use about 1/3 of a cup. And this is going to go last because I don't want it to get all burnt up at the beginning of the cooking. I'm just going to kind of add it in at the end. I've got to get the veggies going because the green beans are actually frozen and so is the cauliflower rice. So those have got to get softened before I add the shrimp. Okay, now let's talk about the shrimp. This is a special kind of shrimp called Argentinian red shrimp. Another name it goes by is langostino shrimp. It has a little bit of a different texture that I prefer to the shrimp that you get from Thailand, which seems a little bit more rubbery. This is a little bit more meaty and more firm as the texture goes in the finished product. Now, I actually prefer when you buy shrimp that's not already pre-cooked. Maybe the tail's on it, but this one is pre-cooked. So you can tell because it's pink on the back, it's not gray. Uncooked shrimp is gray, pre-cooked shrimp is pink, but it is frozen, so we have to thaw this out. I'm gonna let the veggies get a good defrost going first before I add the shrimp, because you don't wanna overcook shrimp. That's the last thing you wanna do. It only takes about 5 to 6 minutes to get frozen shrimp to the right texture, the right doneness, so to say. So I'm gonna get the veggies going, then I'm gonna add my broth and the flavors and our shrimp, and it will be ready in about 5 to 6 minutes. So to keep everything from getting burnt to the pan, I'm gonna add about a half a cup of chicken broth. This is the coco aminos, maybe a quarter cup of this. I think another good addition would be garlic, but I actually don't have any. But that would also kind of bring out some of those Asian flavors and a good complement to any stir fry. This is lime juice. I'm adding about a tablespoon, maybe 2. Just a teaspoon of the sriracha. And we'll let this go a little bit. Everything so that it comes together. And then we'll add our shrimp. So this is 1 pound, and I already used half the bag last week. So this is about 2 servings worth, half a pound of shrimp. But you can see it's like instead of like looking orange, like some of the Thailand shrimp looks orange, this is more of like a reddish color on the shrimp itself. And they're, chunks of ice right now, so I'm gonna put the cover back on and let it cook for a few minutes. Oh, I see what you're doing. You've got garlic on your hands. We'll add a little bit. I don't love granulated garlic so much. You can put a little bit in. Actually, you reminded me, and that was like a half a teaspoon. I did forget something in our flavor corner. This is a key to any Chinese stir fry is ginger root. The easiest way to add ginger, in my opinion, is to use a microplane. These shred up ginger really, really quickly, and you don't even have to peel it. So I'm just going right through. And it really won't slice your fingers because it doesn't go that fast. And then you'll see all this yellow on the back side, and then just tap it in. You definitely want the ginger. The ginger makes the dish. You can see what a cooked piece of shrimp looks like compared to when it's not done yet. So they're more translucent, not done, and they become more opaque when they are cooked through. So I'm flipping them all over. That one's still frozen, 2 pieces together. Okay, now I'm gonna add coconut milk. So this is gonna be about 1/3 of a cup. And that just gives it some creaminess and plus the coconut flavor. So as soon as the rest of the shrimp is cooked through, it's really ready to go. I'm gonna give it 3 more minutes. Okay, so while this is finishing up reducing, I'm gonna actually add 1 more piece of flavoring, and that is cilantro. It's a garnish, it's an herb, and I know some people don't like it genetically. Some people actually think it tastes disgusting, like soap. But for people that don't have that gene, that actually tolerate the flavor, it kind of tastes like a lemony, almost like a bright, lemony, fresh taste. And I think you see it a lot in Asian meals. So, and herbs have their own unique
antioxidant profile. So they're actually really, really powerful for fighting free radicals. Okay, so everything is ready. And then you could put this over noodles. You could put this over rice. Tonight we're gonna use quinoa, which is another whole grain. And if you wanna keep it low carb, you don't have to put it over anything. You can just have it as is. So anyways, guys, that is coconut ginger shrimp stir fry made in 10 minutes, and living proof that you can have something super delicious that's not just meat and potatoes, something that's ready in 10 minutes and with a lot of flavor and making 2021 fun.
Nice. Awesome.
Thumbs up from the Brian master.
Yummy.
Yummy. All right.